On Christmas Eve, a woman in a torn gray coat knocked on my door and asked for something warm to eat. My husband leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Give her $5 and close the door, Maya. Don't let her drag that smell into your father's house." Your father's house. Not our house. Not my house. My father's house. At that exact moment, with my husband's hand pressed against my lower back like he owned me, I understood something I should have understood months earlier. He had never seen my grief as pain. He had seen it as an opening. So I looked at the woman's wet shoes, her shaking hands, and the snow melting in her white hair, and I opened the door wider. "Come in," I said. "We're about to eat." My husband's smile disappeared. Everyone at the Christmas table stared at me like I had just invited disaster inside. But before dessert was served, that homeless woman lifted her head, looked straight at my husband, and said one sentence that made his fork slip from his hand. "Derek, do you still use tea to make women easier to rob?" The room went so quiet I could hear the candles hiss. My mother-in-law went pale. My husband stopped breathing. And I realized the woman I thought I was saving had come to save me. 3 days later, I stood across the street from my father's old hardware store and watched Derek Collins, the man who had called me fragile, confused, unstable, and ungrateful, get led across the gravel parking lot in handcuffs. He shouted my name once, then again, but I did not move. Because by then, every person in Cedar Ridge who had whispered that grief had broken me finally knew the truth. I had not been losing my mind. I had been surrounded by people who needed me to believe I was. My name is Maya Whitaker Collins, and before my husband tried to erase me from my own life, I was a hospice nurse. That matters because hospice work teaches you to notice what people are too polite to say out loud. You learn to recognize the daughter who keeps refolding blankets because she cannot accept that her father is dying. You notice the son who talks too loudly because silence scares him. You notice the husband who kisses his wife's forehead only when someone is watching. You learn that the body tells the truth before the mouth does. A hand flinches, a jaw tightens. Eyes move toward the thing a person wants before they dare reach for it. I spent 11 years learning how to watch people closely, and somehow I still failed to see my own husband clearly. Or maybe that is not fair. Maybe I did see him. Maybe love just kept asking me to look away. My father, Frank Whitaker, died in April. He was 71 years old, stubborn as an oak stump, and he had run Whitaker's Market and Hardware in Cedar Ridge, Ohio, since 1982. It was not beautiful in the way rich people mean beautiful. The floors creaked near the paint aisle. The front door stuck in humid weather. The coffee by the register tasted like burnt pennies, no matter who made it. The feed section smelled like cracked corn dust and wet work boots. But to half the town, that store was more dependable than the bank, the church, or their own families. If a young mother needed diapers on Tuesday and could not pay until Friday, Dad wrote it in the tab book. If an old farmer came in every morning for coffee and sat for 40 minutes without buying anything, Dad never rushed him. If someone's water heater broke in January, Dad found parts called Sam from the back room and said, "Let's get them warm before we talk about money." That was my father. He did not own much that looked impressive on paper. He owned the store, the old family house behind it, 4 acres of scrubby land that backed up to a creek, and 2 small rental duplexes near the railroad tracks. But what he really owned was trust. In Cedar Ridge, trust is a kind of currency. My little sister Ellie depended on that currency more than anyone. Ellie was 22, but in some ways she was still 16, still laughing too loudly at old sitcoms, still singing country songs off-key, still asking for extra whipped cream on milkshakes. 6 years before Dad died, Ellie survived a car accident that left her with a traumatic brain injury. She could walk. She could talk. She could remember every single lyric to Dolly Parton songs. But she needed structure therapy, supervision, and patience. Dad found her a place at Maple Haven, a care home 40 minutes away. It was not fancy. It had beige carpet, too many craft supplies, and a nurse named Joanne who called Ellie Sunshine even on hard days. Ellie loved it there. She called it my apartment with helpers. The rental duplexes and part of the store income paid for Maple Haven. Dad had made that system carefully. 1 year before he died, he sat me down at the kitchen table beneath the humming yellow light and slid a folder toward me. "Maya," he said, "the store can change someday. The house can change. the land can change. But Ellie's care money does not get touched. Not for repairs, not for business ideas, not for some emergency that sounds important in the moment. That money is her floor. Promise me. I promised him. Derek was sitting beside me that night. He squeezed my shoulder and said, "Frank, you don't have to worry. I'll help Maya carry all of it." Dad looked at Derek for a long second. Not unkindly, just carefully. Then he said, "Helping is not the same as taking over." Derek laughed. I laughed too. Back then I thought Dad was being protective. Now I know he was being accurate. After Dad's funeral, Derek was perfect for exactly 12 days. He answered phone calls. He carried casseroles from the porch to the kitchen. He told people I was resting. He made coffee I never drank. He sat beside me in church and held my hand while I cried through Amazing Grace. People told me I was lucky. Maya, Mrs. Hensley from church, said, squeezing my arm after the burial, "Not every woman has a husband who steps up like that." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But the first warning came only 2 weeks after the funeral. I drove to the store one morning and found Derek standing outside with a man from a sign company. They were measuring the front of the building. The old sign above them read, "Whitaker's Market and Hardware." Since 1982, Dad had painted it himself. The red letters were faded, but I loved them. I parked beside the gas pumps and got out slowly. "What's going on?" I asked. Derek turned with his public smile. That smile was different from his private one. Wider, cleaner, less honest. "Just getting an estimate," he said. "Nothing final." The sign man held up a sketch before Derek could stop him. The new sign read, "Collins Family Market and Supply." For a moment I could not speak. Collins. Not Whitaker. Not Frank's store. Not even Whitaker Collins. Just Collins. The sign man glanced between us, suddenly very interested in his clipboard. I looked at Derek. "Why is your name on my father's store?" His smile tightened. "Maya don't do this out here." "Do what?" "Turn everything into grief." The sentence hit me harder than I expected. Derek stepped closer and lowered his voice. "Your father left you a building. He didn't leave you the energy to run it. I'm trying to keep this place from becoming a museum to your feelings." The sign man looked like he wanted to crawl under his truck. I stared at my husband. "Cancel it," I said. Derek's eyes hardened. "We'll talk when you're calmer." Calmer. That became one of his favorite words. He used it the way other people use a leash. Anytime I questioned him, I needed to be calmer. Anytime I disagreed, I was overwhelmed. Anytime I defended Dad's store, I was sentimental. By May, Derek had taken over the store's Facebook page. I discovered it when my cousin texted me a screenshot. It showed Derek standing behind the counter in a blue button-down shirt, one hand resting on Dad's old register. The caption read, "Big changes coming soon. Proud to help lead this family business into the future." This family business. Not Maya's family business. Not Frank Whitaker's legacy. Just this family business. The comments made my stomach turn. "Frank would be so proud of you, Derek. Glad someone young is stepping up. Maya is blessed to have you. Can't wait to see what you do with the place." I sat in my car outside the store and read those comments until my vision blurred. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Derek. "Saw you parked outside. Come in if you're done making yourself upset." I should have walked in and confronted him. Instead, I sat there for 7 more minutes, wiped my face, and went inside like a woman who had already started apologizing for being hurt. That is how it begins sometimes. Not with screaming, not with a slap. With one person slowly teaching you that your reaction is the problem. That same week, I visited Ellie at Maple Haven. She was in the activity room making a paper bird with uneven wings. When she saw me, she held it up proudly. "Look, Maya, it's a cardinal, but he has duck feet." "It's beautiful," I said. She grinned. Then her face became serious in the sudden way it did after the accident. "Is Derek changing Dad's store?" My chest tightened. "Who told you that?" "Derek." "When did he tell you?" "He came yesterday. He brought milkshakes." She looked down at the paper bird. "He said the store needs a new name because old things make people sad." I felt something cold move through me. Ellie rubbed glue from her fingers. "If he takes off Whitaker, does that mean Dad is gone again?" There are questions that break you because they are too innocent to defend against. I sat beside her and took her hand. "No," I said. "Dad is not gone again, and Whitaker is not coming down." She nodded like I had just promised the sun would rise. "Good," she said, "because Dad said the store helps pay for my helpers." I smiled. It hurt. "Yes," I said, "it does. On the drive home, I cried so hard I had to pull into the parking lot of a closed diner. Then I dried my face and went home to Derek, who was sitting at the kitchen island with his laptop open. "I heard you went to see Ellie," he said. I stopped in the doorway. "How did you hear that?" He looked up. His expression was calm. Too calm. "Joanne mentioned it when I called about billing." "Why are you calling Maple Haven about billing?" "Because someone has to keep track of things." "I keep track of things." Derek sighed. Not angry. Worse. Patient. "Maya, you forgot to return their call last week." "No, I didn't. You told me you had handled it." "See?" He closed the laptop slowly. "This is exactly what I mean. You are so buried in grief you can't keep the basic timeline straight." I stared at him. He came toward me and softened his voice. "I'm not attacking you, I'm worried. Everyone is worried. Everyone. That word would follow me for months. Everyone thinks you need rest. Everyone sees you struggling. Everyone knows I'm just trying to help." I started hearing it from other people too. Aunt Linda called one afternoon and said, "Honey, Derek says you're not sleeping. Maybe let him handle the store for a little while." Mrs. Hensley hugged me after church and whispered, "There's no shame in needing help." Even Sam, who had worked for Dad for 17 years, started watching me with concern. Sam was 61 with a gray beard, bad knees, and hands that could fix almost anything. He had been at Whitaker's longer than some of our customers had been alive. One day in June, after I misplaced the drawer key twice in one morning, he followed me into the stockroom. "Maya," he said quietly, "are you taking something?" I turned. "What? I'm not judging you, I just—" He looked uncomfortable. "Sometimes you seem foggy, not grief fog, medicine fog." The words hit me like a bell. Medicine fog. As a hospice nurse, I knew what he meant. And as a wife, I did not want to know. Derek's mother, Gloria Collins, entered the story properly in July. Gloria was the kind of woman who used concern the way other people use a knife. She wore soft sweaters, carried peppermint candies in her purse, and could insult you so gently that you thanked her before realizing you were bleeding. She began visiting every Tuesday and Friday. At first, she brought casseroles, then banana bread, then tea. "Chamomile, lemon balm, and a little valerian," she said, placing a blue thermos on my kitchen counter. "Completely natural. It'll settle your nerves." "I don't think I need—" "Oh, sweetheart." She touched my cheek. "Frank was a good man, but good men do not always raise strong daughters. Sometimes they raise soft ones. That's nothing to be ashamed of." I froze. Derek, standing by the refrigerator, said nothing. Gloria poured the tea into my mother's old mug, the white one with blue flowers around the rim. "Drink," she said. "Poor Ellie needs stability, not all these emotions." Poor Ellie. That was how they got me to drink it. Not for myself, for Ellie. The first time I slept 10 hours and woke with my mouth dry and my head heavy. The second time I forgot a supplier meeting. The third time I drove to the store and sat in the parking lot for almost 15 minutes, unable to remember why I was there. Derek was gentle in public. That was the worst part. He would touch my elbow in front of customers and say, "Why don't you go home, babe? You're not helping yourself by pushing." He would turn to Sam and give him a sad little smile. "You know how she is right now." Sam would look away. Not because he agreed, because he did not know what to believe. Neither did I. One Friday evening, Gloria brought tea again. This time I watched her. Really watched her. She unscrewed the thermos cap with her back slightly turned. She poured my cup first, then hers from a separate little packet in her purse. The difference was small, but hospice nurses notice small. I smiled. I lifted the cup. I let the steam touch my face. Then I said, "I'll drink it on the porch. I need air." Derek's eyes flicked to Gloria. Gloria smiled too brightly. "Finish all of it, dear. It works best that way." That sentence stayed with me. Outside, I sat beside my mother's Christmas cactus. That cactus had bloomed every December since I was in high school. My mother used to say it was stubborn enough to be a Whitaker. I looked through the kitchen window. Derek and Gloria were talking. Neither of them was watching. So I poured the tea into the soil. I did it again the next Tuesday, and the Friday after that. Within 10 days, the cactus leaves began turning brown at the edges. Within 2 weeks, whole sections drooped. By the end of the month, the plant looked like it had given up. I stood over it one morning in my bathrobe, touching the limp leaves, and something inside me went very still. Not scared, not even angry. Still, there is a kind of calm that arrives when fear finally becomes information. I stopped drinking the tea, But I kept pretending. I let Derek finish my sentences. I let Gloria speak slowly to me in front of other people. I let Aunt Linda think I had forgotten our lunch. I let Nicole Vance, Derek's business partner, tilt her head at me during a pancake fundraiser and say, "Grief can make women so clingy with old things." Nicole Vance had perfect blonde hair, a black SUV, and a voice that sounded like she had learned sympathy from a customer service manual. She sold real estate with Derek. She also looked at me like I was standing in a house she had already decided to buy. At the fundraiser, she smiled toward the store and said, "Sometimes family businesses need someone objective. Sentiment can ruin good opportunities." I looked at her hand. There was a new gold bracelet on her wrist. Too expensive for a casual accessory. Too ugly to be meaningful. I said nothing. Derek heard the whole exchange and smiled into his coffee. That night, I found an old photo album in Dad's closet. I had been looking for insurance paperwork, but I found a stack of pictures from the 90s instead. One photo stopped me. My mother stood behind the store counter, laughing with her head thrown back. Beside her was a woman with sharp eyes, dark hair, and a cigarette she was clearly not supposed to be smoking indoors. On the back, my mother had written, "Ruth and me. Christmas Eve, 1993. She saved the books again. Ruth." I remembered the name vaguely. When I asked Aunt Linda about her the next day, she got stiff. "Ruth Dillard was trouble," she said. "What kind of trouble?" "The kind your mother trusted too much." That was all she would say. When I asked Sam, he looked at the photo for a long time. "Ruth kept the books before I started," he said. "Sharpest woman I ever met. Your mom loved her." "Why did she leave?" Sam hesitated. "After your mom died, she and Frank argued. I never knew about what. But your dad kept an old key for her in the office drawer for years. A key had RD scratched into it. That night, I searched Dad's desk and found the key taped under the back of the bottom drawer. RD. Ruth Dillard. I did not know why that mattered yet, but it felt like a thread, so I held on. In August, the real damage surfaced. I was at the store when Joanne from Maple Haven called. Her voice was gentle in a way that made my stomach drop. "Maya, I'm sorry to bother you, but we need to talk about Ellie's account." "What about it?" "There are missed payments." I stepped into Dad's office and closed the door. "How many?" "2 full months, part of a third." "That's impossible." "I thought so too. I never got any notice." A pause. "We were instructed to send billing communication to Derek." The room seemed to narrow. "By who?" Joanne sighed. "I think you should come in." I drove to Maple Haven with my hands locked around the steering wheel. Joanne met me in her office, a small beige room with framed kindness quotes on the wall, and a bowl of butterscotch candies Ellie loved to steal. She turned her monitor toward me. Attached to Ellie's file was a scanned letter. My name was typed at the bottom. My signature sat beneath it. The letter said I was overwhelmed with grief and wanted my husband Derek Collins to handle Ellie's care billing until further notice. I stared at the signature. It looked like mine if you had only seen mine once. But it was not mine. My M always had a loop because my third-grade teacher told me my name looked too sharp without one. This M had no loop. I felt sick. "I didn't sign that," I said. Joanne's eyes filled with concern. "I was afraid you'd say that. How much is missing?" "Maya, how much?" She looked down. "Enough that if the balance isn't corrected by January, we'll have to review Ellie's placement." For a second, I did not hear anything. Not Joanne. Not the heater. Not the muffled television in the activity room. All I heard was Dad. "Promise me." I stood. "Can I see Ellie?" Joanne nodded. I found Ellie making a paper snowflake with too many points. She held it up when she saw me. "This one's fancy," she said. "It's beautiful." She studied my face. "Are you sad?" I forced a smile. "No, baby. You look like when Dad went away." That almost broke me. I sat beside her and took her hand. "Ellie, do you like Maple Haven?" She frowned like it was a trick question. "It's my apartment with helpers." "I know." "And Joanne lets me fold towels even though I'm bad at it." "I know." "And Dad said I get to stay as long as I need." My throat closed. "Yes," I said. "That is exactly what Dad said." She leaned closer. "Derek said money is complicated. Is money being mean?" I closed my eyes. Then I opened them. "Money is not being mean," I said. "Some people are." She nodded slowly. "Then tell them to stop." I kissed her forehead. "I will." When I got home, Derek and Gloria were sitting at the dining table with papers spread between them. Derek looked up too quickly. Gloria removed her reading glasses. "What's all this?" I asked. Derek smiled. Good timing. We were just talking about ways to simplify things for you. Gloria reached for my hand. I did not give it to her. Poor Ellie needs stability, she said, not emotional decisions. Derek slid a folder toward me. Inside were forms giving him authority over store banking rental deposits and Ellie's care payments. Temporary, he said, just until you're better. I looked at the pen beside the folder, then at my husband. He had practiced this face, concerned, patient, almost sad. Your father left memories, Maya, Derek said softly, not management skills. Gloria nodded. Derek is trying to give this family a future. Frank gave you a past. I felt something hot rise in my chest, but I kept my voice quiet. I need time to read it. Derek's eyes sharpened. We've been patient. No, I said, you've been busy. Gloria stiffened. Derek leaned back. There it is, the paranoia. I looked at him. Maybe. He smiled. He thought he had won. Take a night, he said. But don't drag this out. Ellie can't afford your pride. That was the sentence that changed me. Not because it hurt, because it revealed him. Derek did not say Ellie could not afford confusion, or grief, or delay. He said she could not afford my pride, as if protecting my sister was ego, as if keeping my promise to my father was vanity, as if the only respectable version of me was the one who handed him a pen and disappeared. That night, I locked myself in the bathroom and cried into a towel so he would not hear. Then I washed my face. Then I called Sam. He answered on the second ring. You okay, kid? No one had called me kid since Dad died. That almost made me cry again. No, I said. But I need help. Sam did not ask for details. He said, I'll meet you at the store. We sat in Dad's office at 11 at night under the buzzing fluorescent light. I showed Sam the forged Maple Haven letter, the late payment notice, the photos of the dying cactus, the screenshots of Derek's posts, the forms he wanted me to sign. Sam looked through all of it without interrupting. Then he took off his cap and rubbed both hands over his face. I knew he was a snake, he said. I didn't know he was this kind. What kind? The kind that smiles while he checks where to put the knife. For the first time in weeks, I laughed. It came out broken. Sam did not smile. What do you want to do? I looked at Dad's old calendar, still turned to April. At the framed photo of Ellie holding a bluegill. At the little sign above Dad's desk that said, do right even if it costs you. I want to know what he's done, I said. Sam nodded. Then we start simple. Simple was enough. We did not need a complicated investigation. We were not chasing shell companies or dramatic secrets overseas. We checked ordinary things. The store repair account, the rental deposits, Ellie's care payments, the tab book, the cash drawer, the receipts Derek said he was organizing. By midnight, we found the first missing money. By 2 in the morning, we found more. By the end of the week, the picture was ugly and clear. $48,000 had been taken from Ellie's care account in small transfers. $12,000 in rental deposits had been moved into a separate account Derek controlled. Store repair money had paid for hotel rooms in Columbus on weekends. Derek claimed he was showing properties. And there it was. Hartman Jewelers, September 17th. Gold bracelet. Paid from the store maintenance card. Picked up by Nicole Vance. I stared at the receipt so long, Sam finally said, Maya. I looked up. She wore it in front of me. Sam's jaw tightened. Then she wanted you to see it. That was when I understood Nicole better. She was not just Derek's affair. She was his audience. Some people do not just want what belongs to you. They want you to watch them wear it. For the next few months, I lived 2 lives. In one life, I was Derek's fragile wife. I forgot small things on purpose. I let Gloria speak for me at church. I let Derek tell people I was having good days and hard days. I let Nicole call me sweetheart once and did not slap her. In the other life, I met Sam after closing. I met Joanne in her office. I photographed receipts. I wrote down dates. I kept a notebook hidden behind loose insulation in Dad's garage. And I waited. Waiting is hard when someone is insulting you in your own kitchen. It is hard when people pity you for a story that is not true. It is hard when the man who stole from your sister kisses your forehead in public and everyone smiles. But I had learned something from hospice work. Some endings cannot be rushed. If you move too early, people call it confusion. If you move at the right moment, they call it proof. The right moment came because of Christmas Eve. Derek insisted we host. It'll be good for people to see you doing better, he said. People. He meant Gloria, his brother Mark, Aunt Linda, Nicole Vance, and a developer from Dayton named Warren Pritchard. Warren had been circling the 4 acres behind the store for months. Derek called him a potential partner. Sam called him a buzzard with business cards. I was not supposed to notice that Warren did not belong at family Christmas dinner. I was not supposed to notice that Nicole did not either. I was not supposed to notice the folder Derek placed in his briefcase that morning. Most of all, I was not supposed to invite Ellie. When I told Derek I wanted to bring her from Maple Haven, he closed the bedroom door. She's my sister. She's unpredictable. She has a brain injury, Derek, not a character flaw. This is an important night. For who? His face changed. Only for a second. But I saw it. For us, he said. For the future. Ellie is my future. He laughed under his breath. That's your problem. You keep choosing broken pieces of your old life over the life I'm trying to build. There it was. My sister. My father's store. My mother's cactus. My family name. All of it to Derek was broken. I looked at him and said quietly, fine. He thought that meant surrender. It did not. Christmas Eve arrived with snow. Not a blizzard. Just steady white flakes falling over Cedar Ridge, making the gas pumps the church roof, and the old store sign look softer than they had any right to look. I spent the afternoon cooking in Dad's kitchen. Ham with brown sugar glaze. Green bean casserole. Mashed potatoes. Sweet potato pie. My mother's cornbread dressing with too much sage because she never listened to Ruth, apparently. Every dish felt like a memory I was afraid to drop. Gloria arrived first, wearing a red sweater and a gold cross. She kissed my cheek. You look tired, sweetheart. You look festive, I said. Her eyes searched my face for weakness. Derek came downstairs in a navy sweater I had bought him 2 Christmases earlier. He looked handsome. That made me angry in a dull, exhausted way. Some people look most decent right before doing something unforgivable. Nicole arrived with wine. She was wearing the bracelet. Of course she was. Aunt Linda arrived with a pie and the nervous energy of a woman who had chosen the wrong side, but did not yet know it. Warren Pritchard arrived with bourbon and a folder under his arm. By 6:30, everyone was seated at the dining table. Dad's table. The table with scratches near one edge from Ellie's wheelchair years ago. The table Derek wanted to replace because it looked too country. Gloria poured tea into my cup. I smiled. I did not drink. Derek stood at the head of the table and tapped his knife against his glass. I just want to say he began this year has been difficult for all of us. All of us. I looked at Dad's empty chair, at Ellie's empty chair, at the blue mug beside my plate filled with Gloria's tea. Derek continued. Frank's passing left Maya with responsibilities she was not prepared to handle. Aunt Linda looked down. Gloria nodded sadly. Nicole turned her bracelet around her wrist. Derek placed his hand on my shoulder. She tried. We all saw her try. But sometimes love means helping someone let go of burdens they were never meant to carry. My skin crawled beneath his hand. He looked toward Warren. I believe tonight can be the beginning of something healthier for this family. Healthier. That was the word he used for selling my father's land, taking over the store account, and cutting me out politely. Then the doorbell rang. Everyone went still. Derek's hand tightened on my shoulder. Are you expecting someone? He asked. Number. The bell rang again. I stood. Derek followed me into the hall. When I opened the door, cold air rushed in. An older woman stood on the porch in a torn gray coat hunched under the snow. Her shoes were soaked. Her white hair escaped from beneath a knitted hat. She held a plastic grocery bag in one hand and the railing with the other. I'm sorry, she said. I got turned around walking from the church shelter. I smelled food. Could you spare a plate? Before I could answer, Derek leaned close. Give her $5 and close the door, he whispered. Don't let her drag that smell into your father's house. The woman lowered her eyes, but I saw her fingers tighten around the grocery bag. And I saw something else. Sharp gray eyes. Not weak eyes. Not lost eyes. Eyes like the woman in my mother's photo. Ruth. I did not know how. I did not know why. But I knew. I opened the door wider. Come in, I said. We're about to eat. Derek's face hardened. Maya. I turned to him. It's Christmas Eve. His eyes warned me. Mine answered. The woman stepped inside. Snow melted onto the rug. Gloria appeared in the hallway and made a soft sound of disgust before turning it into a cough. Nicole lifted her wine glass and watched like this was entertainment. Aunt Linda whispered, Oh, Maya. I ignored all of them. I helped the woman remove her coat and led her to the dining room. We'll set another place, I said. Derek caught my wrist in the kitchen. His grip was too tight. What are you doing? He hissed. Feeding someone. This is not the night for one of your emotional performances. I looked down at his hand. Slowly, he let go. I set a plate between Aunt Linda and Mark's wife. The woman sat carefully as if every joint hurt. She thanked me 3 times before touching her fork. Dinner continued in a strained, awful way. Derek tried to recover control. Gloria made comments about safety. Nicole smiled into her wine. Warren checked his watch. Then the woman tasted the cornbread dressing. Her hand stopped halfway to her mouth. She looked at me. Your mother still used too much sage. The fork slipped in my hand. Derek turned his head sharply. I whispered Ruth. The woman took off her hat. Her white hair was thin now. Her face had deeper lines. But the eyes were the same as in the photograph. Sharp, furious, alive. Hello, Maya, she said. Gloria's face drained of color. Derek went perfectly still. Aunt Linda whispered Ruth Dillard. Nicole frowned. Who is that? Ruth looked at her. Someone who knows how to count. Derek found his voice first. I'm sorry, but whatever this is, it needs to happen another time. Ruth smiled. No, Derek. Men like you depend on another time. He laughed once. Maya, this woman is clearly confused. Ruth reached into her plastic grocery bag and pulled out a folded cloth napkin. Inside were 3 things: a recipe card, an old key, and a stack of papers. She placed the key on the table first. RD scratched into the metal. My copy, she said. Your mother made me promise never to throw it away. My eyes filled. Then Ruth placed the recipe card beside it. My mother's handwriting covered the front. Cornbread dressing. Too much sage. On the back in smaller writing my mother had written, if anything ever feels wrong around my girls, Ruth will know where to look. The room seemed to tilt. Derek pushed back from the table. This is absurd. Ruth looked at him. Absurd is calling a woman fragile while stealing from her disabled sister. Silence. Not quiet. Silence. The kind that changes the shape of a room. Aunt Linda's hand flew to her mouth. Gloria stood. That is enough. Ruth did not even blink. Sit down, Gloria. Gloria sat. That was when I knew. Ruth did not only know Derek, she knew Gloria too. Ruth placed the first paper on the table. The forged Maple Haven letter. My fake signature at the bottom. This letter gave Derek access to Ellie Whitaker's care billing, Ruth said. Maya did not write it. Derek smiled sadly. There it was. The performance. Maya has been under tremendous stress, he said. She has been forgetting things, misplacing things, imagining. No, I said. My voice was quiet. Everyone looked at me. I lifted the teacup Gloria had poured and held it in the air. I stopped drinking this in July. Gloria's eyes flashed. I continued. I poured it into my mother's Christmas cactus. Aunt Linda stared. The cactus died. Gloria scoffed. You are accusing me of killing a plant now. No, I said. I am accusing you of drugging me just enough to make grief look like incompetence. The word drugging landed between the candles and the cranberry sauce. Derek's jaw tightened. Nicole whispered, oh my God. Ruth looked at Nicole's wrist. Save your surprise, sweetheart. We'll get to you. Nicole's face flushed. Derek slapped his hand on the table. That's enough. For 1 second, nobody moved. Then Ruth placed another paper down. A late payment notice from Maple Haven. Then a bank transfer. Then a copy of the Hartman Jewelers receipt. She looked at Nicole. That bracelet on your wrist was paid for with Ellie's care money. Nicole jerked her hand under the table. Too late. Aunt Linda turned to Derek. Is that true? Derek pointed at Ruth. You don't know what you're talking about. Ruth's voice hardened. I kept books for Frank Whitaker before your wife was born. I know a thief when the numbers start acting nervous. Sam's voice came from the hallway. She's right. Every head turned. Sam stood near the front door in his work coat holding Dad's old ledger under one arm. Behind him stood Joanne from Maple Haven. Behind her was Deputy Harris from the Cedar Ridge Sheriff's Office. Derek stared at them. What the hell is this? I stood. My knees felt weak but my voice did not. This is what happens when the woman you called fragile starts asking people who actually love her. Derek laughed, but the sound came out wrong. You think this town will choose you over me? Sam stepped forward. This town knew Frank before you learned how to fake a handshake. Derek turned on him. You're an employee. Sam's face did not change. I'm family, there's a difference. Warren Pritchard slowly closed his folder. I think I should leave. No, I said. He froze. You came to my Christmas dinner to discuss buying my father's land, while my husband tried to convince everyone I was too unstable to say no. Sit down and enjoy the truth. Ruth's mouth twitched. Derek looked at me then. Really looked. Not like a husband, like a man watching a locked door open from the inside. Maya, he said softly, come with me. Number. His eyes went dark. Maya. That one word carried years of training. Be quiet. Do not embarrass me. Do not make this difficult. Do not make people uncomfortable. Do not ruin my plans. For the first time, it did not move me. Derek's mask slipped. You stupid, ungrateful woman, he snapped. Your father left you a rotting little feed shop and a sister who will drain you dry for the rest of your life. I was the only one trying to turn any of it into something useful. Gloria whispered Derek. But it was too late. Everyone had heard him. Ellie was broken pieces. Dad's store was a rotting feed shop. My life was useful only if he could own it. I felt strangely calm. You weren't keeping my father's store alive, I said. You were feeding on it. Deputy Harris stepped forward. Derek, I think you should step outside with me. Derek pointed at me. She is unstable, ask anyone. Aunt Linda began to cry. No, she said. Derek turned. She wiped her face with a shaking hand. No, Derek, I should have asked her instead of listening to you. Gloria glared at her. Aunt Linda did not look away. Derek's breathing changed. He grabbed the folder from the table. Deputy Harris moved closer. Put it down. Derek looked around the room. At Ruth. At Sam. At Joanne. At me. The people he had underestimated. The people he thought did not matter enough to count. Then he smiled. Cold. You have no idea what you've done, he said to me. I looked him in the eye. Yes, I said, I do. He left that night with Gloria. Deputy Harris did not arrest him at the table. Real life is not always that clean. He took statements. He collected copies. He asked Gloria about the tea, and Gloria suddenly had a headache. Nicole cried in the bathroom, then left through the side door without saying goodbye. Warren Pritchard drove away so fast he left his bourbon on the porch. Aunt Linda apologized in my kitchen while I wrapped leftovers in foil. I believed him, she said, crying. I thought he was helping you. I looked at her. You believed him because it was easier than asking me. She covered her face. I did not comfort her. Not because I was cruel, because some guilt needs to sit with the person who earned it. Ruth stayed that night. I made her a bed on the couch with one of Dad's quilts. Around 3 in the morning, I found her awake, staring at the Christmas tree. I should have come sooner, she said. I sat beside her. You came. She looked at me. Your mother would have hated what they did. I know. She would have hated that you had to fight alone. I wasn't alone, I said. Ruth gave me a look. You were too alone. I cried then. Not pretty. Not quietly. Ruth put one thin hand over mine and let me. Christmas morning came anyway, which felt rude. I picked up Ellie from Maple Haven for lunch. She wore a red sweater with a snowman on it and carried 3 paper snowflakes she had made for the store. Where's Derek? She asked. He made bad choices. She nodded seriously. Like when I cut my own bangs. Worse. Did he say sorry? Number. Then he's not done being bad. That was Ellie. Simple. Accurate. When she saw Ruth, she stopped. You're in Mom's picture, Ellie said. Ruth smiled. Yes, honey, I am. Ellie hugged her like the years had not happened. On December 26th, Derek started making calls. I know because people started calling me. Mrs. Hensley from church called to ask if I was safe because Derek had said I was under the influence of a disturbed homeless woman. Aunt Linda called crying because Gloria told her I was destroying the family. Nicole sent one text. You don't understand what he promised me. I stared at it for a long time. Then I replied, neither did I. She did not answer. That evening, Sam called from the store. His voice was low. Maya, Derek's here. I stood so fast my chair hit the wall. What? He used his old key. He's in Frank's office. Did he see you? No, I'm in the feed room. Deputy Harris told me to call if Derek came back. I already did. My hand tightened around the phone. What is he doing? A pause. Going through filing cabinets. Of course he was. Not to apologize. Not to return what he stole. To erase what could prove it. I grabbed my coat. Ruth blocked the door. Number. My father's office. If he wants you there angry and alone, don't give him the gift. I hated that she was right. So I stayed. I stood in my kitchen with one hand flat on the counter and waited. 20 minutes later, Sam called again. They got him. My knees nearly gave out. Ruth took the phone from my hand and put it on speaker. Sam's voice came through. He tried to leave out the back with a box of files in the deposit bag. Harris stopped him. Derek shoved him. Ruth closed her eyes. That fool. Sam continued. Then Mrs. Bellamy pulled in for kerosene and saw the whole thing. By morning, everyone will know. 3 days after Christmas Eve, I drove to Whitaker's Market and parked across the street. Derek stood in the gravel lot under the old red sign, Whitaker's Market and Hardware. Since 1982, his hands were behind his back. Deputy Harris was reading him his rights. Sam stood by the feed door with his arms crossed. Mrs. Bellamy stood near the gas pump pretending not to stare while staring with her whole body. A few other people had gathered too. Small towns do not need social media. They have windows. Derek saw me. His face changed. Not sorry. Never sorry. Aware. Aware that I was not crying. Aware that I was not begging. Aware that the woman he called fragile was standing upright in the snow while he bent under the weight of his own choices. Maya, he shouted. I did not move. Maya, tell them this is a misunderstanding. An old man near the gas pump spoke before I could. Frank Whitaker. Let me carry a tab for 9 months after my wife died, he said. And you stole from his girl. Derek's face twisted. She's my wife. I looked at him. Not for much longer. The words were not loud. They did not need to be. Deputy Harris guided him toward the car. Derek shouted my name one more time. I turned and walked into the store. Inside, everything smelled like Dad. Coffee, dust, pine shavings, old paper. I went straight to his office. The top drawer was open. Derek had been looking for the ledger. He had not known Sam took it home 2 nights earlier. That made me laugh, then cry, then laugh again. I sat in Dad's chair, opened the bottom drawer, and found a folded note tucked beneath the cash box. My name was written on the front. Maya. My hands shook when I opened it. Dad's handwriting was uneven, probably from the last months when his fingers had started to ache. Maya. If you are reading this, it means I am gone, and something has made you sit in my chair. I hope it is nothing bad, but life usually does not ask permission before getting hard. You are going to hear people tell you that you are too soft. Do not believe them. Soft is not weak. Bread is soft, and it feeds people. Quilts are soft, and they keep people alive through winter. Your mother was soft with me on days I did not deserve it, and she was the strongest person I ever knew. But soft does not mean you let thieves call themselves family. The store is wood, metal, old coffee, and stubborn paint. It can change someday. Legacy is not a building. Legacy is whether Ellie is safe, whether you can look in the mirror, whether people who need help know your door is not locked. Trust yourself. You notice more than you think. Love, Dad. I pressed the letter to my chest and bent over his desk. For the first time since April, I did not feel like my father had left me. I felt like he had waited for me there. The weeks after Derek's arrest were not neat. People like neat endings because they make pain feel organized. Real endings are messy. Gloria denied everything. Then she said the tea was harmless. Then she said she only wanted me to rest. Then she said Derek pressured her. Then she said I had always hated her. I let Deputy Harris sort through the versions. Aunt Linda brought soup and apologized 4 different ways before finally saying the only one that mattered. I should have asked you instead of listening to him. I said yes, you should have. She cried. I let her. Nicole tried to claim she was another victim. Maybe part of her was. But she had worn a bracelet bought with my sister's care money. And there are some kinds of ignorance people choose because the truth would cost too much. Warren Pritchard's offer for the land disappeared. Good. The 4 acres behind the store stayed quiet under the snow. Ellie's care balance was repaired slowly through recovered funds, insurance claims, and a community fundraiser Sam organized without telling me first. The fundraiser was called Keep Ellie Home. I hated needing it. I loved everyone who came. Farmers put 20s in a coffee can. The high school choir sang outside the store. Mrs. Hensley brought 6 pies and cried into every one of them. People who had believed Derek came too shamefaced and awkward buying raffle tickets for baskets they did not want. One woman squeezed my hand and said, I'm sorry, I believed he was helping. I said, me too. Not every apology deserves forgiveness immediately. Some only deserve honesty. By February, Ellie's place at Maple Haven was secure. By March, I filed to remove Collins from my name. By April, on the 1st anniversary of Dad's death, I climbed a ladder outside the store with Sam holding it below and repainted the old sign. Whitaker's Market and Hardware. Since 1982, the red paint ran a little in one corner. Dad would have complained. Then he would have fixed it himself. I left it. Not every scar needs to be hidden. Ruth stayed in Cedar Ridge. Not in my house forever, though I offered. She moved into the small apartment above the store after Sam and I cleaned out old receipt boxes, Christmas decorations, and one raccoon nest nobody wanted to discuss. She started keeping the books 3 mornings a week. She yelled at suppliers. She overfed Ellie. She told customers the coffee was terrible, then poured them a cup anyway. One afternoon, I found Ruth standing behind the counter looking at the photo wall. My mother's picture was in the center. Ruth touched the frame. "She would be proud of you," she said. I swallowed. "I don't feel proud most days." "Good," Ruth said. "Proud people stop learning." That was Ruth. Comfort with a slap hidden inside. Derek's case moved slowly. Theft, forgery, drugging without consent, breaking into the store after Christmas. Words that sounded serious but still smaller than the damage he had done. How do you charge someone for making you doubt your own memory? How do you measure the cost of sitting in your car, outside your sister's care home, wondering if grief has made you dangerous? How do you write down the humiliation of being pitied by people who are watching your life get stolen and calling it concern? There is no form for that. No neat column, no receipt. But there is recovery. Mine began quietly. I changed the locks. I threw away every mug Gloria had ever used. I bought a new Christmas cactus and placed it in the kitchen window. I reopened Dad's tab book for families who needed groceries before payday. I painted the office walls pale yellow because the old brown paneling made grief feel permanent. I invited Ellie to the store every Saturday. She folded paper bags badly and greeted customers too loudly. Everyone loved it. One morning in May, I woke up and realized I had slept through the night. No tea, no pills, no man beside me measuring my weakness. Just sleep. Ordinary sleep. It felt like a miracle. The thing about dignity is that people talk about it like it is loud. It is not. Dignity is quiet. It is refusing to sign away your life at your own dining table. It is letting people apologize without pretending they did not hurt you. It is feeding a stranger at Christmas, even when everyone in the room thinks kindness is embarrassing. It is standing in the snow while the person who tried to erase you finally sees that you are still there. Family is not the person who says your name in public while cutting you out in private. Family is not the husband who touches your shoulder while stealing from your sister. Family is not the mother-in-law who calls control concern. Family is the old employee hiding in the feed room because your father would have done the same. Family is the care coordinator who risks an uncomfortable conversation because your sister matters. Family is the woman in the torn gray coat who comes back after years away because she made your mother a promise. Family is anyone who protects your dignity when you have almost forgotten you deserve it. And legacy. Legacy is not land, not a store, not a sign, not a bank account. Legacy is what remains when greedy people try to take everything and discover there are still things they cannot steal. My father left me a market. My mother left me a recipe. Ellie gave me a reason to fight. Ruth gave me the truth. And Derek, in the cruelest way possible, gave me back myself. So if a hungry woman ever knocks on your door on Christmas Eve and someone beside you says she is not worth letting in, pay close attention. Not just to the woman outside, to the person standing inside with you. Because sometimes the stranger at the door is not the danger. Sometimes she is the warning. And sometimes opening that door is the first brave thing you do before your whole life finally opens with it. So tell me honestly, would you have forgiven the relatives who believed Derek? Would you have cut Gloria and Nicole off forever? And if you were standing at that door on Christmas Eve with your whole family watching, would you have opened it?